Affairs expert live from Los Angeles. Sierra, this is an unprecedented event, a high security event where the shooting took place. Also, we are getting to know that there were 3 security checkpoints before ballroom. So in fact, the questions are now arising. Did the shooter have the ticket with him?
Yeah, this is absolutely unacceptable what has happened. This is the 3rd assassination attempt on President Trump. The fact that this person got inside the hotel where the president was, I've just read that the shots rang out only 5 minutes after President Trump was seated. So this person also probably had insider knowledge to know when President Trump was actually in the room because of the timing here with when the shots rang out. This is unacceptable. Our Secret Service, we've already had breaches under J.D. Vance, issues with his Secret Service agents that were found to be leaking things. There is clearly a very high security risk. And I also must point out that the DHS has been unfunded for months because of the Democrats. And these are the type of results that we get when the Democrats refuse to govern.
Mr. Johnston, this is very interesting how Sierra points out to the leak that took place in the Secret Service agents of J.D. Vance. Earlier, we also saw reports of Pentagon, in fact, Pentagon ousting U.S. nuclear chief Andrew Hogg for leaking sensitive information. So seems like it can be an insider job as well.
I don't think there's any evidence to support that whatsoever. First of all, when the president was going to be there was known. There were live broadcasts going on in the U.S. of this event. This hotel, which I'm incredibly familiar with, is favored by security services because you can create multiple layers of effectively security moats around the main ballroom. The important question here is what went on with the Secret Service and how did they fail to stop this person at the outermost moat? And that goes to a long-running issue, as I mentioned when I was on a few minutes ago, about the Secret Service and the history of carousing and drinking when traveling with the president, of not following protocols, writing books and leaking information about various presidents. There's long been discussion in Washington about the need for fundamental investigation of the Secret Service, but the U.S. Congress hasn't done so. And as to the unfunding issue, let's be very clear. The Republicans have majorities in the House and the Senate. It's the Republicans who are seeing to it that the Department of Homeland Security is not funded. The Democrats are a minority party. They can't block something like this, and they're not. The blocking is being done both by the failure of the House Republicans to work in unity, and there's reporting, credible reporting, that President Trump has specifically said he isn't worried about this because it's a good political issue for him. But there's no blame for the Democrats here about this. They can't pass anything. The Republicans have the majority in both the House and the Senate, and they can't get their act together.
Right, and Mr. Johnston, Sarah would also like to come across to you now, as you were pointing out that there will be a scrutiny now over the leadership of Secret Service, and questions will be asked as why these breaches are happening time and again in the U.S. administration.
There needs to be absolutely be investigations, and there needs to be accountability for all of the violent rhetoric that has led to these repeated assassination attempts on the president's life. And, I don't think that at a time like this, it's appropriate to discuss politics. So I'm not going to go into why the Democrats are at fault for defunding DHS. But I do think there needs to be investigations and, of course, from Congress, but we need some immediate answers as to these repeated assassination attempts. It's great that this person was stopped and that there were security measures in place, but it is not good enough when these people, they got onto Mar-a-Lago, they were on the property, they got onto the roof in Butler, and they got into the lobby of the hotel at the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
All right, David, my question to you would be this. You can't be lucky all the time. You can be fortunate once or twice. And as Sierra told me, this was the third assassination attempt at Donald Trump. Now, don't you think that the security service detail should be reworked, a strategy should be made? Because you have threats not just from the United States. You have threats from across the world. You have threats from Iran. This could have been a possible assassination attempt from some other global player here that might have been involved in this case, David. Don't you think the entire security arrangement should be reworked?
Yeah, absolutely. There has been serious problems with the Secret Service. We have known about these for years. We had a scandal when Obama was president. A bunch of Secret Service agents were overseas and they went to a bordello instead of going and sleeping before their duty the next day. And we need to have a serious examination of what's going on with security. The President of the United States should be far better protected. Incidents like this shouldn't happen. And this person shouldn't have been able to get into the building, even though this is a building with essentially multiple layers of security moats, which is why security agencies from all the world prefer having public events like dinners there rather than the Mayflower Hotel, the Hilton Hotel. It's a block and a half from the White House. This one up on Connecticut Avenue is much easier to secure. If you can't secure that building, then something is seriously wrong with the Secret Service. There needs to be a no-holds-barred investigation by Congress.
David, don't you think they were lenient?
Get that.
David, don't you think they were lenient? They already assumed that because this is White House perimeter, nobody would dare to enter, to intrude, and take a risk of a possible assassination attempt. So that might have been one of the reasons.
Yeah, well, overconfidence is
definitely.
clearly a problem. And having been around the president, other presidents, all the way back to Jerry Ford, and with the Secret Service, and then they bring in the other agencies, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, FBI, local police, all sorts of people are involved when the president moves. It's really astonishing that this happened. That
apprehensions, more arrests, more the change in security details, people getting fired in the usual Donald Trump's way.
Well, President Trump is in very high spirits, as we saw from his Truth Social posts, and other people have mentioned that this has unfortunately become, sort of regular for him. So, we'll have to see how he reacts. I think that President Trump is very focused on the government, running the government of the country, and he tries not to let these type of things distract him. But, from my standpoint, from a foreign affairs and a national security perspective, I think this is an immediate need. I do think it needs to be addressed swiftly, and there should be accountability if people need to be reshuffled around, whatever needs to be done there. In terms of what we might see next, in terms of the investigation, I hope that there is a thorough investigation. The FBI has not really provided a lot of information on the Butler shooter still to this day. So I think that we need to put a lot of pressure on the FBI and the related agencies to do their jobs here and track down these leads. If there are other people involved, there was also some reporting that the president's motorcade was possibly trying to be rammed as he was leaving as he was evacuating. So there is absolutely a need for an investigation, and I hope that the press, including the liberal media, who has all of this violent rhetoric, I hope that they put pressure on the FBI to have transparency and to conduct a thorough investigation.
Yeah, my colleague Hina continues to be with us. Hina, you have a question, please.
Yes, would like to go across to Dr. Claire, who is also with us from Los Angeles. Sierra, earlier, when Pennsylvania shooting took place, Donald Trump said that it was a political shooting. We also very unprecedentedly heard from Kamala Harris, who in fact called Donald Trump and asked for his well-being. Are we hearing anything coming out from the Democrats?
I haven't checked the news in the last couple minutes. I know there have been statements that have come out from Congress on their social media accounts talking about this. So I don't know if any Democrats have specifically individually issued statements yet. I expect that we will hear from them. I mean, that would be the right thing to do. But, you know, in terms of this being a Second Amendment issue, I don't think that that is the issue. I think that we need to look at this from a national security perspective, which is that people in our country are being radicalized to act violently, and that could be coming from foreign actors as well as domestic actors. But there are people who want to stoke violence, who clearly want to kill President Trump, and who want to tear this country apart, and they are doing so, and their method is by radicalizing people. So that's what we need to focus on to address this critical national security issue.
Sierra and Mr. Johnston, continue to stay with us. We are also fetching more information on this. We have a breaking news, in fact, coming up, where the shooter has been identified. He's a 31-year-old Thomas Allen. He has been identified. He is from California, is what we are getting to know. So big breaking news that we are getting in this incident, as we are also tracking continually what is going on in the White House press office, where we have shortly Donald Trump to address the press, the media. But this is a big news that we are covering, where shooter has... Mr. Johnston would like to also go across to Sierra, a guest joining us from Los Angeles. Sierra, we are also hearing the statement from police officials who are now saying that the preliminary investigation into this incident suggests that the person, the shooter, was in fact a guest at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. I would like you to throw some light on how the invitations are floated across correspondents and high-level dignitaries in these sort of events.
Well, you know, the White House Correspondents' Dinner, Trump hasn't attended it in the past. This was the first year that he actually agreed to attend it. So, I would hope that that means that there was increased security even before the event started, including vetting of guests and who tickets were given out to. We have not heard confirmation if that was in fact the case. In fact, we've heard from attendees that they felt that there wasn't as strong a security presence as there could have been. So it does make me question, you know, what this pre-planning process looked like.
Mr. Johnston, yes, please continue.
As far as this shooter, you know, we do know that he is a registered Democrat from California. He was also apparently some kind of teacher. And so I would question the fact that he was actually an invitee. I highly doubt that, given that he is clearly not a member of the press, and you know, he didn't have any, as far as we know yet, any political connection as to why he would be there. But if he was able to forge an invitation, and that, you know, that's what led to this reporting that's coming out, or if he just tried to flash something and pretend that he had an invitation, all of those are possibilities. And it also speaks to the security measures, you know, and President Trump is being a great leader when he stands up there and says that he's not going to be deterred and he's not afraid. And so, of course, as Americans, we appreciate that. But there is, you know, also on a national security front, there are people who need to be asking questions about this. And President Trump can be a leader and he can present a strong statement as he did, but there also needs to be questions asked. There also needs to be investigations, because this is becoming a pattern. And we need to look too at the fact that each of these assassins have been supposed lone wolves. You know, so is there further investigation that needs to happen into that? Because if we're seeing a pattern of that these people are lone wolves, they are targeting President Trump, you know, I'm just really questioning that this stuff needs to be looked into far deeper than it has been with these kind of surface level investigations that we saw of the last two assassination attempts.
Right. Also, Mr. Johnston, would like to get your perspective on the same question. What do you think about the vetting process in these sort of high-level events? You are an investigative journalist and covering the American politics for such a long time. What do you have to say about the vetting process that goes into place in these sort of high-security events?
Well, to go to the White House, there's a fairly substantial level of security checks as to who you are, and there are multiple stages of this. But Sierra is exactly right. We need to find out how, if this person in fact had an invitation, even if they do have some journalism connection we don't know about, or they were the guest of someone who was a journalist, we need to know all about that. And I think Sierra raised a very interesting point. The person who tried to kill President Trump and in fact murdered a firefighter 2 years ago in Butler, Pennsylvania, who was a Republican, by the way, does he have any connection whatsoever, however tenuous, to the person who's now in federal custody for this seemingly attempted assassination of the president? And I say seemingly because we don't know who his target was at this point. But we absolutely need to have deeper investigations. And by the way, if we didn't have deep enough investigations into the shooting at Butler, Pennsylvania, and the man who was along the fence of Donald Trump's golf course in Florida, who is now in prison, that's the fault of the Trump administration. It is absolutely their fault, and it's the appointment of unqualified people to high-level positions. Kash Patel, utterly unqualified to run the FBI. Mark Wayne Mullen, no law enforcement experience whatsoever, and yet he's in charge of the Department of Homeland Security. So we should have a no-holds-barred investigation. The comments made by the Trump appointees and officials, however, at the press conference, as well as the Washington, D.C. police chief, do not suggest that that's their first thought. What did we do wrong? It's, oh, what a great job we did.
Right, and as you mentioned, Mr. Johnston, about the last shooter in the Pennsylvania event being a Republican and a MAGA supporter, we are increasingly seeing criticism pouring in from a large base of MAGA supporters. In fact, a lot of podcasters also now giving back to Donald Trump, whether it's war in Iran or general tackling of the domestic issues in America. And these are the influencers that have massive following in America and across the world. So we are seeing that happening as well.
The solution to any issue you don't care about is not violence. Let me be eminently clear about this. President Trump is exactly right. I don't care who's in the White House. Violence is not the answer here. On the other hand, I would also point out President Trump has been giving pardons to violent felons, people who attacked police officers, to one of the biggest cocaine traffickers in the world who brought 400 tons of cocaine into the U.S. And President Trump has been pardoning violent criminals left and right. So there's a deeper story here about the Trump administration's policies. He's even appointed one of the biggest drug traffickers in America to be his person in charge of deciding who gets pardons, while removing the professionals who oversaw this in the past. And we'll see how much of an investigation there is into this and how much the qualifications or lack of qualifications of senior national security and law enforcement people are examined.
Right. Continue to stay with us, Mr. Johnston. We are also being joined by Major General K.K. Sinha, Indian defense expert. Major General Sinha, this is a big day. Donald Trump again attacked. We are not assuming that it was an assassination attempt on Donald Trump, but it was a big incident. As Johnston was pointing out, do you think that there is a big defect in Donald Trump's policies? He has been giving pardons to many drug offenders who are serious offenders.
Good morning and Jai Hind. There are a number of layers where you can actually, when you carry deep inside, then you will find that there are a number of causes it might be. I agree with it, what our friends is saying from the United States of America. The situation in, as on today, both externally and internally inside the America is slightly not, it is very, very tense. Donald Trump has, taken lot of actions externally. A factor is Iran, an obvious factor that and I don't think this has got connections, because called Thomas Allen. I have carried out a little bit research. He's a teacher by profession. He has been an engineer. He has been adjusted as one of the best teachers. First thing, and a teacher from California getting access to was in DC, coming over there. How he got the invitations, carrying three of firearm, like a shotgun, handgun, and a pistol. So I think somehow, because America is a country to reckon with, it is sole superpower, even if we say, or today the gun culture in America, I think that is also to be pointed out. But when you're asking me the cause can be anything. It can be external factor like Iran and internal disturbances which is going on. People are not very happy. It might be that, but a 30 years old teacher coming from California all the way, getting invited over there. There's a White House correspondent dinner. So I think, he has been caught. I think it should come out, loud and clear, because 3 attempts, this is the third attempt, 13th July 2024 in Pennsylvania. Of course, he was eliminated by the Secret Service 15th September 20. Still the guys, he was apprehended, because in the Gulf Coast or Florida, this attempt was there. So it should come out because, America in a history where the 4 president has been eliminated, of course, starting from 1865 to 1963. It is a serious matter for global community also that, it just can't happen that way, especially in 21st century when America boasts to have, very tight security. But there are lapses. Generally, I think, Hilton Hotel has got, history of where, there are attempts have taken place. And if you are holding such an important, congregation, and you don't carry out your security, checks there. And this time also, the Donald Trump has, given a clean check to Secret Service. I think one of those agents has been also hit in this. So we have to wait and see. And America should come out because globally everyone is bothered about it. And times from 2024 and we are now in 2026, I think is a matter of concern.
Right. Major General Sinha, stay with us. Sierra would like to now come across to you. This incident that took place after the incident, Donald Trump issued a statement, and very interestingly also goes on to say that he was about to rip apart the Secret Service as they were not letting him resume the function. Do you think that he often bypasses Secret Service because the kind of statements that he's giving out goes on to suggest that he has a very casual approach when it comes to his own security?
Well, I think we heard a little bit, in the way he was speaking that speaks to his mindset, how he looks at these things is that he, as he said before, being president is a very dangerous job and he will not be deterred. And that is an important public front for him to present. And I think he believes it too. But, just from a communications perspective, it's important for him to present this to the public because we don't want to encourage these type of people. We want to discourage these people and show them that it doesn't work. They will not accomplish their goals. And so President Trump understands that, and that's the message he wants to send. Privately, we don't know. I don't think that he purposely tries to go around the Secret Service. I think that he is very aware of the public, messaging and the public perception, and that he never ever wants to send a message to these people that their methods will succeed. So I think that's what you're hearing when you're hearing him say that he's fighting the Secret Service. The Secret Service is obviously concerned with their job, which is also very important, of protecting him, and he is concerned with these public perceptions of ensuring that people see that this kind of violence will never ever work.
Right, Major General Sinha, now in the statements that are coming out, we know that the shooter had a long gun with him. Earlier in the Pennsylvania incident, the shooter had semi-automatic rifle. These are very powerful, as Donald Trump says, very powerful and dangerous equipment. How easy it is for an American citizen and also someone who is acting as a lone actor in the incident able to get his hands on these equipments?
Look, America has got a fault line. America has got a gun culture, which including the Donald Trump, he has given, the approval of it. See, in America, you can have a number of, any number of guns. You can take it and you get a license. And it is very, very easy. Just go to an arms shop and just produce your identity and you will get no check, no balances. This gun culture has got a history in America. It might have started from the cowboy days and then it has come down today. And every president, other than I think, Obama, he did try to do it, but, they support it because the lobby is that strong. The arms lobby in America doesn't allow this thing to happen, and America is very, very unsafe because of this. Anyone can carry, and there is authorizations. Country like India, we have got such a strict control on it. America has to think about it. This type of killing, not only innocent children, get killed because of this armed culture. They get inside the school, carry out the mass shooting, kill people. But it seems like that in America is somewhere bogged down into, very old thinking and the gun culture. And that's why it is happening. You said that, he had a long gun also. I believe there is a shotgun, handgun. These handgun, I think they refer it to pistol. And he had fired from his pistol, not from the long gun. I believe, this is coming. I'm not very sure, but what I'm hearing, that he fired from a pistol and he's able to hit one of the Secret Service and, where his body armor, which has stopped it. So I think, somewhere America has to take a call. I do not know every time we talk about it, but America takes its own way and, allow this thing to happen.
Right. Sierra, why do you think that Donald Trump is not able to act against these gun lobbyists, as Mr. Sinha was pointing out? Do you think that Donald Trump is scared of them?
No, I think President Trump believes in the Constitution, as do all of the people who voted for him. And I don't think that this is a gun culture issue. I think this is a radicalization issue.
How is it not a gun culture issue, Sierra? Time and again, we have seen that these lone actors are able to get their hands on these shotgun, long gun, semi-automatic rifle. How easy it is for a citizen to get their hands on them?
Well, I'm from California, the same place that this person is from, and I can tell you California has some of the strongest anti-gun laws in the nation, and this man clearly was able to find a way of how to get a gun anyway. I don't want to speculate as to whether these were guns that he owned legally or not, but given that he was traveling across the country and all of this, I do raise the question whether he even obtained these guns legally. And that's what the issue comes down to, is that the people who use guns to do this type of violence are people who obtain guns illegally most of the time. And so that's why the Second Amendment, is very important for people in these kind of mass shooting events that we have and other things, is that we need lawful, abiding gun owners who have guns and can protect against people who obtain guns illegally and then try to commit violence with them.
Right. Major Sinha, would like to get your perspective on the timing of this attack. This comes at a time when there is a war going on in Iran. There are casualties happening in Lebanon. There is also not much support from the American public to the United States President Donald Trump. And it also goes on to show, because Donald Trump has not ruled out political violence. When the reporter asked what he thinks about the political violence, he says that he's concerned anything can happen. So what do you think about the timing of this incident? Right. Sierra, now would like to come across to you. We have time and again seen how defenses of United States, when it comes to cyber attack, they are down. We have seen how photos of Kash Patel, FBI director, they were leaked online. Now, it seems like that there is a mole culture in the United States as far as the conspiracy theories go. We are seeing constantly leaks happening. Do you think that it could be an insider job, given the fact that the gunshots were fired right outside the ballroom? Now, Donald Trump says that the ballroom was seized, but he was, in fact, able to go past the security gate and was able to get very close to the ballroom where you have the presence of high-level delegates.
Well, first, I want to say this man was 31 years old, and we have to look at that, and we have to look at the Butler shooter, who was very young as well. These are people with their entire lives ahead of them, and I think it's very telling that they are willing to sacrifice potentially their lives and, or end up in jail for the rest of their life to do these type of things. This is radicalization. I don't know what kind of radicalization it is, but it's clearly radicalization. And in terms of, what's going on in our government, I think our government absolutely is at risk. I don't know specifically if this could be an insider job. It's definitely a question that should be asked and investigated thoroughly. But overall, I do say our government is at risk. We have people inside our government, as you pointed out, leaks, all of these things happening, people who just simply don't take the job seriously, people who are actually working against the interest of the United States of America. And all of these people are employed by our federal government. Many of them are entrusted with high-level, top-secret clearances, things like that. So we have a problem. We have risks. And there needs to be a lot more done to address it, especially from Congress. But, certainly there can be more done on the administration, on the executive side as well.
Right. Major General Sinha, would like to come across to you. This is a big, major security scare that we are seeing panning out in Washington, D.C., United States. Not just the cursory look at the events. What do you suggest should happen on the parts of the authorities? Do you think that Congress should also take this up? Because this event had a lot of individuals in it. It had J.D. Vance, it had the First Lady, it had Pete Hegseth, and a lot of cabinet ministers as well. Do you think that we'll see a push from the side of the Congress to ensure that there is some sort of a change and a deep, in-depth investigation into this?
Well, I hope so. I think we need to see the Congress support more of President Trump's agenda as well. As we were just talking about, there are many risks that our government faces, and many of them were created under the absentee leadership of Joe Biden. And so the Congress needs to support President Trump's agenda in trying to correct these very serious errors. And and they need to support, any investigation that they can in terms of reforming the Secret Service and whatever's going wrong there. First and foremost, they need to fund it. But the congressional investigations are important, but they take a very long time, and they're more about the political side of things than they are about the immediate security needs. So I also hope that we will see some action, some immediate corrective action that can be taken so that Americans can be assured that President Trump continues to be safe. And, as many have said, the people in the ballroom are not necessarily at fault. One of them was shot. Luckily, he was wearing a vest. But so I'm not trying to say these are the specific people who need to be held accountable. But there's planning, there's pre-planning and vetting that we talked about. There's all kinds of things one of the things is the ballroom that President Trump was trying to build. For this, that's one of the main reasons he's trying to build it, because the White House needs a secure ballroom so that they're not off in these harder to secure locations. And so all of that needs to be looked at, and we need to find who needs to be held accountable, and it needs to be corrected.
Right. Major General Sinha, I would like to come across to you. This was all right. We have a big breaking news, in fact, coming in at this point in time, where we have, in fact, a statement coming in from Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Trump assassination attempt. We are not assuming the Trump was a target, but we have a statement by Prime Minister Modi. He says that relieved that Trump and others are safe in this incident. So a big statement, one of the first statements, first leader, in fact, putting out the statement on the incident that took place at White House Correspondents' Dinner event at Hilton Hotel. Prime Minister Modi says that he's relieved in fact, that nobody was hurt, fortunately, in this event, and that Donald Trump and all the others are safe and sound. He's relieved, is what he says. First statement coming in from Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Major Sinha would like to come across to you. He also says that violence has no place in democracy. A very strong statement that we're seeing coming out from Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He says that violence has no place in democracy. Major Sinha, would like to get your first reaction on this. You know, we have seen this trend with Prime Minister Modi that he is one of the first leaders to take cognizance of any sort of untoward incident taking place in any country. And this time, in this incident also, we are seeing Prime Minister Modi putting out a very strong statement saying that violence has no place in democracy, condemning the incident that took place and saying that he's relieved that his friend Donald Trump and others are safe.
I think it's a very, very good gesture, and I think very apt gesture.